Hi, I'm doing my podcast and technology overview for Rensselaer Central School Corporation. Rensselaer is actually an interesting school. Their numbers that come in from the DOE actually put them at around a little over 1,600 students. You can see their free and reduced populations here, about 50% or 52% paid meals, and then they've got 9.7 reduced, and then 37.9 free. So I find that kind of interesting is how much is actually in that free range compared to the reduced. Overall, almost a 50% free and reduced rate for Rensselaer. If we go back to their page here, you can see that Rensselaer consists of four different schools, a primary school. They have Van Elementary, the middle school, and the high school. Rensselaer is actually an interesting case because with 1,600 students divided between four different schools, they're a fairly small school corporation. However, they have managed to be in their area one of the leaders in technology. Back around 2011-2012 school year, Rensselaer applied for a Classroom Innovations Grant, and they were awarded that Classrooms Innovation Grant from the DOE. And in the 2012-2013 school year, Rensselaer actually decided to pilot a one-to-one initiative using the funds from that grant. They started the initiative in the sixth grade, and all sixth grade students that year had an iPad that they were able to use in school and take home with them. And then that same iPad, all of the teachers for the core classes in the middle school also received, and actually they gave one iPad to all of the teachers in the whole school corporation to start getting them comfortable with using an iPad. Furthermore, the students, or the teachers rather, in the core classes of those sixth grade students that year also received a MacBook Air. And the grant also funded 10 days of intense training for those core teachers. That training included John Kuglin, full day trainings, and they would do them 2 days at a time. So they would do 2 days of training in 1 month, then they would take a month off, another 2 days of training, and so 10 full days spread throughout the full year. The grant paid for the training, but it also paid for the subs to cover those teachers. And even though that was a lot of classroom time that those teachers were out that year, the district found that it was important that they actually make that a priority to get those teachers trained to integrate that technology to the best they can so they could be the leaders going forward. Rensselaer at that time was also thinking of expanding this program, of course, from that very start. So they also took teachers from the different schools and different grade levels that were not involved in the pilot program to make sure that they were getting that same 10-day full intensive training as we went forward, that they would know that they were going to have iPads in their classroom as well at some point. So that year, that pilot went really, really well. And the following year, the school district decided to go ahead and implement their one-to-one initiative K through 12. Everywhere from kindergartners to seniors in high school had an iPad that they brought to school, went home with them, except the kindergartners through second graders, they had iPad minis, and those actually stayed in the classroom and were managed by the teachers and the tech support staff. So those actually stayed in the classroom. Once a student got to third grade in the school corporation, then they actually started taking the iPad home with them. At that same time, the school district decided to create a new position in every building. So they created what they called a technology integration coach. And they had one at the primary school, one at the elementary school, one at the middle school, and one at the high school. That technology coach position was responsible for researching new educational technologies for the corporation to use, help teachers in co-teaching and professional development, and even evaluating the stuff that they were already doing in their classroom to see how they could use that technology to enhance engagement and enhance learning. So that technology coach position worked very, very closely with both administrators and teachers to reach the school's goals and the corporation's goals. Going forward from there, now they are in year 3 of implementation. Every single student in the corporation has an iPad, and they are actually getting close to the point where they will be turning it around to look at, okay, what device are we going with next? They did a 3-year lease on the iPads when they decided to go school-wide, and that lease is actually starting to run out. From a policy standpoint, policy has really been driven in a reactive manner. A lot of things that weren't thought would happen, or just you couldn't even think of it would come up, have come up in those 3 years that Rensselaer has been implementing the iPads, and it's been a constant work in progress to really create policy that both makes the devices very useful and effective for students, yet also keeping students safe and out of situations that put them in danger. They have also since hired a resource officer in the corporation who has helped a lot with the integration of technology and keeping students safe. So that has been very important to their progress. And looking forward through that whole time, before they actually implemented the iPads, the school corporation decided to put interactive whiteboards in every single classroom, and so that has been accomplished as well. The original thought was to put Apple TVs in every classroom, but that ended up not happening. Instead, they used a software called Reflector to be able to reflect the iPads up onto the presentation board, the whiteboard, and that is the method of getting what you have on your device up for students to be able to see. If you have any questions about Rensselaer or any comments, let me know. This is a very brief overview. I understand lots of policy, lots of growing pains have gone through that process for them, from what mobile device management system to use, which one works the best, which one gives us the most efficient management over our devices. That they've dealt with a lot of those issues as well. Just not enough time to put that all into this. But I think it's really interesting. The reason that they decided to do this was because their mobile device policy started to flex a little bit. People started getting more comfortable having students bring in their own devices, and the social inequities, because of going back to that almost 50% free and reduced range, they were realizing, hey, some of our students are at a disadvantage from others, so we need to take charge of this and make sure that all of our students have equal access to technology. And that's what kind of started this whole program for Rensselaer. Thank you for listening.